6:28. You're good. We got 2 minutes. We have 6 people there. Hi. You have to do us. Azinu Hashamayim about the Bebra, but Aretz may free. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of hepax legamini in that poem. Shabbat shalom to everybody. We will begin with Ashrei. We are fortunate to be where we are on page 226. 226. Ashrei Ashrei ve'tehecha od yaluhu chasela Hashem shehacha loho Hashem shenai Elohav tila leDavid. Tihilat Adonai yidaber pihi, v'rak kol basar shemro she'olam va'ed, v'anachnu nevarach Yaham yetod olam hallelujah. Uval Tzion goel shefesh v'kuvenu v'nonai. V'atakadosh yoshev tila Yisrael, v'karat ze azev v'yamar, kadosh kadosh kadosh, Adonai tzvos melcharas kavodo. Batisa eni v'rach v'harash v'mekarash kato v'rach v'ranahai mihim kama. Vayivtechu b'chaydeisha mehacha ki lo zakar dershech Adonai Adonai chavetzim an sigtoch yagdiel Torah v'yadir. Rabbi Stecker is going to read Parshat Ha'azinu on page
1185 in the Chumash. Ha'azinu hashamayim v'adabera v'tishma ha'aretz imrefi Ya'arov kamatar likhi tizal katal imrati kis'irim alei deshe v'chirivivim alei esef ki shem Adonai yakra havu godel Eloheinu hatzur tamim po'alo kichol derachav mishpat el emunah v'yein avel tzadik v'yashar hu shichet lo banav mumam dur ikesh ufetal tol Haladonai tigmuluzot amnaval v'lo chacham. Allahu avicha chanecha huascha v'yechonenecha. Zechor yemot olam binu shenot dor vador. She'al avicha v'yagedcha zekenecha v'yomru lach. V'hanchel el yon goyim b'hafrido b'nei adam. Yatsev gevulot amim lemispar b'nei Yisrael. Ki chelak Adonai amo. Yaakov chevel nachalato yimtzaehu be'eretz midbar uvetohu yelel yeshimon yisovevenhu yevonenehu yitzrenhu kiishon eno kenesher yair kinoho al gozalav yirachev yifros kenafav yikachehu yisaehu al evrato Adonai badahat yanchenu ve'eni moho ehel nechar.
Shekach Chazak Baruch. Continue on page 233. We rise as you are able. Yikarav yikadaha hashamer aba'ak. B'yamad yirachatav mich malchutei. B'chayechon b'yomechon. M'chayedechol beit Yisrael. B'agalav izman karihi v'imruhu amein. Yeheshrim abam varach. Elam lamei amaya'ak. Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yipa'arit man yaseg. V'tadar v'talev t'losh min kudusha ha'brichu. Le'ela le'ela mikol b'chatav v'shira atak. The Ami does it cited privately 234 to page 239, obviously doing the pieces for Shabbat Shuvah. Hamelach HaKadosh. Thank you. Turn back to page 234b. And then separately do that. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanarak Elayon Gomel Chasadim Taviv V'Konei HaKok V'Zocher Chasei Avok U'Mevi Go'el Lifnei V'Nehem L'man Shema B'Yahavak Zochrein Elochai Melech Hafetz B'Chaim B'Charvin B'Sefer Chaim L'man Chalihim Chaim Melech Ozer Fokein Moshiach Magen Baruch Ata Adonai Magen Avraham Ufokei Tzarak Ata Gibor L'Olam Hanai Mechayim Etim Ata Rav L'Hoshiach Mechakeh Chaim B'Chesed Mechayim Etim Rachamim Ramikin Samech Noflim Rafei Cholim Matir Asukin Umekayim Natole Shnei Afak Mi Chamocha Bal Gvarot Umi Damelach Melchim L'Chem Asmich Yeshua Michamoch Avrachamim Zocher Tzravachem Barachamkin B'Nam Antalachi Amitim Barachatanak Mechaye Hametihim Negation Chabalam Kishange Magashim Otabishim Yachav Karze Alzavia Mark Kadosh 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 Anai Svos Makarot Kavodok Liamatam Barachem Barak Varnai Min Kamak Udreka Shakaka to Lemok Yimloch and Ali Alam Hakasim Levador Hallelujah the Dovador Nagi God the Hacha with a Netzak Nitzakim Shakhanakti Ish Beshikacha Elokin Mipinale Mushilam Beek Kemakadash Atak Aracha Taranahak Hamelech Hakadosh Atacha Veshimcha Echak Umikem Chayisra Goechad Ba'aretz Tiferet Geduhulak Batar Yeshuaha Yom Nucha Krishamachanatatak Abraham Yagel Yitzchak Yeranekin, Yaakov Anav Yanu Chuvo, Menuchat Nava, Menuchat V'Munak, Menuchat Shalom, Ashrev Ashkeva Vetak, Menuchat Shema Asher Terat Sebak, Yakuva Necha Ve'etu Ki Mitcha Hi Menuchatakam, Yamanuchatam Yatushuat Shemachak, Eloheinu Levoteinu Ritsevu Nuchatenu. Kadashenu b'mitzvotecha, v'tenokeinu b'tzoratecha, sabenu b'tovecha, v'samcheinu b'shuvatecha, v'tahlibeinu l'chavi amek, v'anchaleinu Eloheinu b'avratzon shavakochecha, v'nu chavai yisam kadashei shemecha, Baruch Adonai mekadesh ha'shabbat, Ritzei Eloheinu b'yamcha Yisrael tzviyatak, v'ashev David divitecha, v'tviyatam b'yavat, k'ber ratzon tiratum David Yisrael amecha, Betachazena Ein Beshuchas Yom Barachamikim Baruch Adonai Hamachazir Shekhinah Tzoletzia Modim Anak Hatov Kilo Chalur Chamechak Hamrachem Kilo Tzachaz Zakamialam Kivinu La'ak Bial Kulam Miparak Mitram Shekhinah Tamidialam Ba'ek V'chotov l'chaim tovim kol b'nei v'ritachak. V'chol hachem yituchasel lav l'yushukha emet ha'ezrotenu v'tetenu salak. Baruch Adonai ha'tov shechanachan l'hoda oknog. Shalom Rabbi Yisrael M'choy Yisrael Tevel Tasim Li'alakum Ketal Machadon L'chol HaShalakum B'tov B'einachak V'varechet M'choy Yisrael B'chol Shomeshumachak B'sefer Chaim B'recha B'shalakum U'farnas HaTovad Nitzacher V'nikatev L'fanecha Anaknu Chomcha B'Yisrael L'chaim Tovim U'L'Shalom Baruch Adonai Oseh HaShalom 239 at the bottom. Zikaka Sedek Leo Lahaham B'Toratecha Emet Zikaka Elohim Arom Asher Tizgalok Elohim Michamocha Zikaka Koreyak Mishratecha Tamarbat Mevei Matzor Shiak Adonai 247 Yikedavi Kedashim Herabak Biyama Divakativ Mechmotek B'Chayechon V'Mechon Uvchayde Chobit Yisrael Bagalazman Karivi Mru Amekni Yeheshim Avarach Nelam Lame Amek Yiparach Mishavak Munasek Vitadar Vitlev Deloshmi Kudusha Brichu Le'ela Mekukato Shira Tak Tushachatav Nechamatat Ramavi Mru Amekni Tigabels the home at the Honko Yisok the home the Ushmavi Mru Amek Yeheshim Shamaya B'Chaim Alinava Kwesravi Mru Amekni O se shalom Rama Fuye se shalom Aleinu V'Ko Yisrael V'Imruhu Amen Aleinu L'Shabeach L'Adon Hakov L'Tekidu L'Aleotze Hebrishing Shelo Asani Koye Haratzok Shelo Hosamanu Tatam Shelo Sam Chelkeinu Kahen Legohor Aleinu Kechol Hamona V'Anachnu Chorim V'Mishtachavim U'Motim Lefnei Melech Malchei Hamlaki HaKadosh Baruch Hu Okay, V'ne'amar v'haya Adonai l'melech kol haaretz b'yomahu yanai chahad u'shemaho echad. Mourner's Kaddish. Yitz kadal v'yitz kadal shemer abak v'yama divra kirute v'yamich machutek v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael v'agala uvizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevarach le'olam v'olei amen. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnasek v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalak shemei dekudusha brichu. La'ela, Mikol Bechata v'Shiratak, Tush Bechata v'Nechamatak, Damiran v'Yama v'Imru Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shamak, V'Chaim Aleinu v'Al Kol Yisrael v'Imru Amen. Oseh Shalom v'Imru, Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu v'Al Kol Yisrael v'Imru Amen. You may all be seated. So we have our typical kind of 8 minutes of learning and 8 minutes of singing and all that stuff like that. So we're still talking Yom Kippur. It's coming up, but I'll tell a cute story about the idea of insider baseball before I get to Yom Kippur insider baseball. Wednesday was my secular birthday. I often celebrate the second day of Sukkot as well, since I was born on the second day of Sukkot. And I went to the Met game with Alexandra, and we actually got to see the Mets. We didn't see them win. We see them tie the game, and then we drove home, and they won the game while we were driving home. And we were sitting next to, based on their accents, people probably not born in this country, for whom baseball seems to be still a pretty new sport. And it was really cute to see them asking Alexandra questions about the game, especially in the ninth inning when they put in a pinch runner. And they're like, wait a second, the person who just hit the double was replaced by someone else. How did that happen? So Alexandra explained that to him, and it was really nice to see. So that's what insider baseball means, is that inside the sort of baseball, there's a lot of intricate rules and obviously ways of strategy. And the machzor, in many ways, is also something that is very much insider baseball. That the more you study it and the more you kind of know, you appreciate it differently. And I'll get to our machzor in a second. So what do I mean by that? I mean that these are ancient poems. They're very artistic, and in some ways the poets played a game, like literally and figuratively, in that they challenged themselves. Is they wanted to give themselves a structure. So the structure often is either Aleph Bet, or we talked about Tashrak once, coming back from Taf all the way back to Aleph, or sometimes they would weave in their names, or both. And even some of the songs that we sing, Dvorei Kra is by Danush, and so that's how you sort of figure out. There's all sorts of different ones. Yehuda, actually, the Charodi is Yehuda Halevi, is written into that, okay? So that Shlomo Halevi, and that's written, Shalmor, Likra, kind of things like that. So that's how they did it. And also they wanted to weave in as many sort of midrashim and archaic words and stuff. So they loved it. The question again comes into, what about the modern worshiper for whom this is not easy stuff? Hebrew doesn't come to mind. Even myself, if I look at some of the poetry of the traditional machzor, it goes over my head. You have to really kind of studying it. And so that's what I have to say, kudos, to use that word, or really yasher koach to the editors of the Machzor Lev Shalem for really putting together a machzor that is trying to be, I'm going to say, something to everyone. Can't be everything to everyone. It wants to give people that traditional, people who grew up with some of the tradition and see it and recognize it, but also recognizing that too much of the Hebrew just literally doesn't speak to them, which is why we also have the margins and we have good translations. And also they took advantage of the fact, which I brought up, that what people grew up with was often just because of the printing press, that someone put in that particular poem in the printing press, and it's actually not, from Moses on Sinai, as we sort of say, to say that particular poem. In many ways, you can even argue about saying poems in general. There's actually, we talked about sort of these rishuyot, these permissions. The reason why they're actually asking permission is not just also because they're sort of saying, here I am, I'm humble, but there was a feeling of kind of guilt, of that they knew that according to the way the rabbis put together the liturgy, we really shouldn't be adding poems here. And that's actually when we say misod chachamim and nivonim, from the secrets of the wise people, that we are going to add these words, because we want the poetry to just kind of go through the plain liturgy that we do on Shabbat. And yes, we sing it. There's Yismachu. There's beautiful stuff in the liturgy, but we want to add something extra on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and that's where the piyutim come in. And so, just to sort of know that, and the poem that I'm thinking of right now, or that sort of is the Seder Avoda. And if you look at a traditional Ashkenazic machzor, I would say Orthodox, but just really isn't Ashkenazi. There was a poem that was written by Kalonymus in the 10th century. So in the 900s, it's brilliant what he did. He was able, through using Aleph, through Taf, and then his name, to really actually describe the whole service of the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur. He's using the Mishnah in Yoma, which really just describes, just in brief, how he ends up in the total immersing in the mikveh 5 times, washing his hands and feet 10 times, because he washes his hands and feet, takes his clothes off, immerses, puts new clothes on, and then washes his hands and feet again. Okay. And then obviously he confesses the sins for him and his family, for all of the priests, finally for Israel using the scapegoat, and he sprinkles the blood on the altar and everything like that. And so the poem wants to get the magic. And so we try to do that here as well, especially when you see the cantor bowing down. That's what we're supposed to sort of in our mind. And I'll leave that and then we can do some singing, is when you see the cantor bow on Wednesday, have in mind the pageantry of what took place in the temple. That is what I want to take back. We can have a whole discussion. Is this magic? Is this ritual? Maimonides sort of said the sins don't get taken away by the scapegoat, magically. It's a symbol of the ability of us to ask for forgiveness and to start with a clean slate. Yes, maybe the ancients really thought they were cleaning up. Use the term schmutz. There was sort of this metaphysical schmutz. Ben Somers talks about that they actually probably believed there was this energy, this negative energy that would accumulate on the altar, and that Yom Kippur was literally the day to purge all those things. Kippur literally means to purge, to cleanse. But for us, it's again all metaphysical, it's all ritual now. And so we take what used to be real physical and now use it in words and in our mind. And we spend the day really thinking about ourselves internally, spiritually. How can we cleanse one another?
So building on what Rabbi Schweber is sharing, there are these melodies, they call them Misinai tunes. And you could say, wow, okay, are these melodies that are thousands of years old, but perhaps they're just 500 years old. So even our classic, so the Avinu Malkeinu, that is considered in the category of Misinai tunes, or even the Kol Nidre that we say that is really this kind of declaration, but doesn't have so much feeling in the text. But the so just that little surrounding, that feeling really brings us, and that motif, that circling of notes, would be considered misinai, that perhaps that could be 1,000 years old, even the way those motifs work. And then specifically the Hakohanim, so that rising motif in the major mode that has a joyful feeling to it, and then arrives, that I believe is originally from the Kohanim, and then we superimpose that into the Kedusha, where we say Kivodo, to the highest point of our tefillah, where we're going to say Ledor Vador and Yimloch. We can apply those melodies as well. And I thought it would be nice for us to sing together. And in a similar way, the end of the Yizkor service on page 197, we have the Mizmor LeDavid, the 23rd Psalm. Certainly you could say Yizkor. Of course, we use Tehillim and the El Malei Rachamim and the Kaddish. But this melody that we love to sing here at Temple Israel, I really think of it as a table song. that Uncle Marty would have sung. La, 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 la. La, 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 la. La, 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 la.
But don't we know who composed this?
Your mom knows. Schenker.
Okay,
right.
Vince Young
Yeah, so
Schenker.
we even have the composer for this one. We know his name, so we wouldn't consider this one a Misinai tune. But let's sing through it together, and even classically on Shabbat afternoon, as we would be gathering to eat some delicious treats and enjoy, that we would sing this melody, and then also we reflect that back in our Yizkor service. Mizmor leDavid, Adonai hoi lo echsa, binot deshet yarbitzeni, amei menuchot yenaleni. Nafshi yeshoveh, nafshi yeshoveh, yancheni b'magle tzedek למען שמו. גם כי אלך בגץ המוות, לא אירא רע, כי אתה עמדי, שבטך ומשענתך, שבטך ומשענתך, המה ינחמוני, תערוך לפני שולחן, נגד צורריי, תשענת בשמן ראשי, כוסי רוויה. אף טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים, לאורך ימים. And another comment about this 23rd Psalm, that the Sephardim will use this as an introduction to their Kiddush. So where we would say, Vayachulu Hashamayim and Borei Peri Hagafen Givanu Vacharta. So you can also think about that if you love this and enjoy singing it, or you need time to pour wine for your 25 guests on a Shabbat. You could honor the Sephardi tradition and also sing this beautiful Ashkenazi melody.
Yeah, I can do Marif. Continue with Marif. Are you okay leading it?
Yes, sure.
Okay. 281. 281. We rise as you're able.
La 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 la. La 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 la. והוא רחום יכפר עוון ולא ישחית, והרבה להשיב אפו ולא יאיר כל חמתו. אדוני הושיע המלך יעננו ביום קוראנו. ברכו את אדוני מבורך.
Hanan Barach Le'olam Va'ed.
ברוך אדוני מבורך לעולם ועד.
And may be seated.
ברוך אתה אדוני אשר ביברך רבים, בחוכמה פותח שערים ובתבונה
Bring
משנה.
my light go like Hoshem.
ומעביר יום ומביא לילה ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה. אדוני צבאות שמו, לחי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב הרבים.
Amen. Avat Olam
בית
Beisur.
ישראל עמך אהבת.
Okay, Eloheinu. Ki כי הם
כי
חיינו
הם חיינו ועורכם והם נגי יומם ולילה, אבטך תשים ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל.
אמן.
שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. אדוני אלוהיכם אמת, ומלכותו וקיים עלינו כי הוא אדוני אלוהינו.
ומלכות ברצון כבולי המשך.
ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה ומרים בני ישראל, לכנו שירה בשמחה רבה, ואמרו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורנתי לו אוסף למלכותך, ראו בניך בוקע ים לפני משה, זה אלי אנו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד.
ונאמר כי באדוני יעקב וגאל זקנו יענו ברוך אתה אדוני כאייסק.
ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני ישראל.
Amen.
השכיבנו אדוני עלינו לשלום ועמידנו מכינו לכם.
Shield us from enemies, from pestilence, from starvation, sword, and sorrow. Remove all the evil forces that surround us.
כי שומרנו מצלנו אתה, כי מלאכנו לרחומתה, ושמור תיתנו בואנו לחיים ושלום מעתה ועד עולם. ברוך אתה אדוני, שומר עמו ישראל.
Amen. Please rise.
יתקרא ויתקרא שמי רבה.
Amen.
ירמה דירה חרותי ומניח מלכותי בחיי יכול ומכון ובחיי רחוב בית ישראל, רגלו בזמן קריב ימרו.
Amen.
ישמי רבה מברך יעלם מעלמיה, יפרח וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרום ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה, שמי לקדושה בריחו לילה לילה מכל ברכתה ושורתה, תושפעתה ונחמתה דמירן בעמה ואמרו Amen.
The Amidah is said privately 286 is 291. We have the pieces between Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, as well as the piece for the end of Shabbat on 287.
La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Ose shalom imroma. Uyase shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen.
Continue on 294.
יתקרב ותרשם רבה,
Amen.
יאמר דברך חרוצי והמחוכותי, וחייכון ומכון, וחייך בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב אמרו, אמן. ישמי רבה מברך, על עמו על מעמיה.
Yibarach.
יתברך ישתבח ויתפאר ויתרום ויתנשא ויתעלה ויתעלה ויתעלה, שמי קודשה.
בריחו.
לילה לילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה, תשבחתה ונחמתה תמיר על דמה, ואמרו אמן. תתקבל צלותו נבטון דכו ישראל, קודם אבון וישמעיה ואמרו אמן. יש שלום רב מן שמיה, וחיים על רווחו ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומה, ויעשה שלום. עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ויוצא ראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הרצון, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שמך כגויים, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים לפני מלך המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
שמיים ויוסף. ומשה
כך כתוב בתורתך 40 לך לעולם ועד, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד שמו אחד.
Page 80, Psalm 27. Then David Adonai Orivi Ishimi Mi Iraq Adonai. He's been named Sukovium.
לא האמנתי לראות בטוב אדוני בארץ חיים, קבל אדוני חזק ימיץ ליבך וקבל אדוני.
Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkada, Yitkadash, Rabba, V'yama, Kibute, V'yamich Malchuteg, B'chayechon, V'yamechon, V'chayei Decho Beit Yisrael, B'agala, U'bizman, Kari, V'imru, Amen. Yehei Shmei, Rabba, Barach, Le'alam, Lameh, Amen. Yiparach, Yishtabach, V'yipa'ar, V'yitramam, V'yitnaseg, V'yitadar, V'yitaleh, V'yitalach, Shemei Dekudusha, Brichu. Le'ela, Mikol Berchata V'Shiratak, Shush Bechata V'Nechamatak, Shemiran B'Yama V'Imru, Amen. Yehei Shlam Araba B'Shemak, V'Chaim Aleinu V'Yal Yisrael V'Imru, Amen. Oser Shalom B'Roma, Kuya Aser Shalom, Aleinu V'Yal Yisrael V'Imru, Amen. Havdalah in just a moment.
We brought special instruments today for our participants. So feel free to bring some kitchen materials like a pot or a pan or something. I think Rabbi Schweber is really gonna like this.
Okay.
This is gonna be good for the, and then this is a scratching thing. So
Okay.
enjoy this. Now I'm not sure where it comes from.
Maybe we should light a candle. I got it.
Those are first they have the holy instruments of the priests. Trying to join the Levi'im with the shofarot and the chatzotorot. Hine Yeshuati Eftach Elohecha Ki ozi vezimrat yah Adonai vayehi li Yeshua V'shavte mayim b'sason B'mayne ha-Yeshua L'Adonai Yeshua alacha B'chatecha sela Adonai tzevaot iman Yizkaf lanu Elohei Yaakov sela Adonai tzevaot ashrei Adam Boteach bach Adonai Hoshia melech yanenu V'yom koreinu ליהודים הייתה אורה ושמחה וששון ויקר כן תהיה לנו ליהודים הייתה אורה ושמחה וששון ויקר כן תהיה לנו כוס ישועות אשא ובשם אדוני אקרא סברי חבריי ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם בורא פרי הגפן
Amen.
ברוך אתה אדוני
Eloheinu
מלך העולם בורא מיני ושמים ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם בורא ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם המבדיל בין כוחות השלכות בין אור לחושך בית ישראל לעמים בין יום לשביעי לששת Baruch atah Hamadir ben kodesh lecho. Hamadir ben kodesh lecho. Chatotenu yimcho. Starim v'chasperu yarbechacho. V'chachovim b'alayla. Shavua tov, 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 Shavua tov.
Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Akivati, Imashia ben David, Imashia ben David, Eliyahu, 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 Eliyahu,
Shavua Tov, everybody. Gemar Chatima Tova. Tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. Tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. You obviously know about Yom Kippur coming on Tuesday night. Have a great night, everybody.
Remember, don't fret about the size of your drum.
Thank you all very much.
All drums. This one just needs a hairdryer. Then we'll tighten it. But